Today on Growing Bolder, how Roger McGuinn put a Beatle Beat on a Bob Dylan song and launched not just a Hall of Fame career, but a philosophy that he says can change your life as well.
Hey, Mr. Tambourine Man, play a song for me.
I'm Laura Savini. Francis Bacon said that gardening is the purest of human pleasures. Well, 400 years later, we still agree. It turns out when you dig in the dirt with others, you sow much more than just the seeds you planted. Today, a bountiful harvest of good friends and good food.
And Mike Leonard takes a unique look into a little-known past that created the future we're now all living. Those stories and more, today on Growing Bolder. We're not made to withdraw from life. We're made to seize each moment and to value every breath. We're made to be bold, to take risks, and to help others. We are the most creative, fearless, passionate being that has ever walked the face of the earth. Don't identify with limitation. Embrace possibility. This is not the beginning of the end. This is the beginning of what's next. This is Growing Bolder. Hi, I'm Mark Middleton, and welcome to Growing Bolder. Today we're celebrating the life-changing and sometimes life-saving benefits of our furry, four-legged friends. Did you know that 6 in 10 Americans owns a pet of some kind, and with good reason? Study after study shows they not only make us happier, they can make us healthier too. Social isolation is one of the biggest threats to healthy aging, and pets, especially those that require regular walks, help encourage their owners to get out. Pets reduce anxiety, they're good for our mental health. No wonder that during one of the most stressful times in recent history, the COVID-19 pandemic, record numbers of people became first-time pet owners or foster homes. Of course, not everyone is a natural pet lover. Anthony and Manisha thought their relationship might be doomed because Anthony loved his dog and Manisha was terrified of it. That is, until one day when they visited a shelter together.
Anthony taught me about shelter pets. He said, we're gonna go to the shelter and get a pet. That's where you get a dog. And there was Franklin in his poor little crate, and he had a roommate who pooped all over the crate, and he was just so happy to get out and play with us. Boy, within a day, I was just in love with him, and it was a love that I'd never felt before.
We called him an English foxhound, but I really think he was a coonhound mutt. But we said he was an English foxhound because he felt he was.
I didn't know a lot about rescues and shelter animals at all, and he really inspired us to make the community aware of what rescue organizations do.
Franklin's Friends is a 501c3, a nonprofit.
Our mission is to support animal welfare by fundraising for local nonprofit and government agencies that are dedicated to shelter rescue, spay-neuter, or community education programs.
We are all volunteers. We have no paid members of our group. We give money to spay and neuter organizations, county animal services.
She came back into the shelter as a stray, but she had been hit by a car. She had a really bad break and it was in her femur. They weren't sure if she would even be able to keep the leg, and the county is not budgeted to do such serious surgeries.
If it hadn't been for us stepping in, getting her the surgery that she needed, she would have been put down.
Somebody's going to get a great pet when she's ready to go.
He was dumped in the woods, and he was running through the woods, had huge gashes all over his body, no food, no water. His wounds, the vet said, were some type of probably wild animal attack. And probably another week, he probably would have been dead.
Sorry.
Oh, good boy. He's gained, I'd say, probably 30 pounds up to now, and he's a complete sweetheart. Malcolm is a big baby. A Chihuahua would probably be more vicious than him.
I think that we all want to help pets. We just can't go to the shelter and bring them all home. So this is really a way for us to help a lot of animals. And that's really so gratifying to see the actual pets that we're able to help.
It's allowed us to do so much.
To be able to mean that much to a pet and to make a difference in their life, to save them, it's just unspeakable.
That's a baby girl.
For me, it means that I can drive away from animal control
and I cannot leave that dog. I can take a Malcolm with me. I can take a Abby or a Buddy that I know is gonna need surgery, and I know that we can do it.
Franklin was our first dog.
We really take a great comfort in the fact that his legacy lives on through Franklin's friends and that he is helping other pets even though he's no longer with us.
We can actually make a difference here.
Aren't they something? Anthony and Manisha are the perfect example of what we call move forward, give back. Please yourself while helping others. Thanks to their efforts, their nonprofit group, Franklin's Friends, has now raised nearly $2 million for local animal welfare, helping to fund everything from vans to transport shelter animals to pet adoption events to life-saving surgeries for injured animals. Well done, guys.
Hi, I'm Laura Savini. One of the most important, yet often most neglected parts of life is social engagement. As humans, we crave interaction, but you can't force it. You must search to find ways to join with a common purpose or a shared goal. And once that seed is planted, you never know what might grow. Here's the quintessential example.
The last time I looked at them, they were like this.
I'm Donna Lee Needham. I'm retired, senior citizen living in the senior residence here at the Plymouth. Loving it. I've been here 2 years, and I have always gardened.
Oh, look at that. That one's ready to eat. These were planted April 24th.
The idea is to get people involved and out and looking and seeing and touching and talking, communicating.
The last time I looked at them, they were little, tiny things.
So we have had residents that didn't even know this side of the building was here. I swear to you, 3 ladies have said, oh, I never go on that side of the building. I always go out the front door. Didn't know the garden was here.
This is cucumbers.
We are already beginning to see people talking to one another about things that we didn't see before, expressing amazement that it's developing like it is.
Yeah, look at that.
Yeah.
See, squash.
Now see here, this one,
I love squash.
So that is just so heartening to me. That's what we're after. I mean, gardening is good for your soul.
It's just been too wet for the squash. It's been very, very wet for the squash.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Here, have a bite. Have a bite.
There isn't any better way than a garden. No way. No way. Walk barefoot and touch the earth, and it puts you, and then feeling it, picking it, eating it. I'm part of the earth. I'm not some creature. We are not, I should say. We are not separate from earth. We belong together.
Green pepper. A green pepper. Oh yes, there's another one there back there.
Green beans.
Yes.
Right here.
Yes.
We are all here because it's affordable housing, and so not anybody has a lot of money, but people are wanting to donate. I want to do my part. I want to be, and a lot of them not to eat it, to see it, to feel it, to watch it.
All of these are sweet peppers. We did not put any. Oh, look, the tag has gone out of here.
I love green beans.
We need money. Money. It's always a problem. It is a problem. But once it's established, it is not. It's cost effective then. There's no reason that schools and senior facilities should be spending so much money on food when you could be growing much of your own.
Garden projects are a terrific way to bring people together. Not only are you growing food that you can eat and share, but you also nurture a true connection between everyone working together to make that garden flourish. We grow food, we cultivate friendships, and then we plant the seeds of community. And that's what we call a bountiful harvest.
Thinking outside the box, coloring outside the lines. It's vision that creates opportunity, whether you're a 75-year-old rock and roll Hall of Famer or a 20-something founder of a new band looking for its first hit. Roger McGuinn has been both sides of that equation, and today he shares the secret to his success, something that he says you can do too.
But I was so much older then. I'm younger than that now. Hi, I'm Roger McGuinn. I was one of the lead singers in the Byrds. I sang on Mr. Tambourine Man, Turn, 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 8 Miles High. So you want to be a rock and roll star. Miles Davis got us a record contract on Columbia Records. They gave us a record deal, but it was only for one single. And if we got a hit with that single, we could go back in the studio and record the rest of the album. Well, nobody thought any of the songs we'd written up to that point were strong enough to be a single hit. But our manager, Jim Dixon, had overheard a couple of record guys in Hollywood talking about Bob Dylan, saying, you know, it's a shame Bob can't use that great new song he just wrote because somebody was singing out of tune on the recording. Well, we got a copy of it sent out to LA. We all sat around and listened to it, and it sounded something like this. Hey, Mr. Tambourine Man, play a song for me. I'm not sleepy and there's no place I'm going to. Hey, Mr. Tambourine Man, play a song for me. In the jingle jangle morning I'll come following you. And David Crosby said, I don't like it, man. Said that folky 2/4 time, and it's too long. It's never going to play on the radio. Well, I had an idea of how to fix that song up for radio. I've been playing around on my guitar with a little Bach. I thought, what if I put something like that on the front and the back for an intro and an outro? And we cut it down to one verse. Oh, and we picked the verse about boot heels because the Beatles had these really cool boots. And I put the Beatle Beat to it, the one that Hal Blaine invented, and it came out like... Hey, Mr. Tambourine Man, play a song for me. I'm not sleepy yet, there ain't no place I'm going to. Hey, Mr. Tambourine Man, play a song for me. In the jingle jangle morning, I'll come following you. And it worked. #1 in 13 countries. And it was really wonderful to have that hit. You could hear it on the radio all the time. But I did some promotion for it, and the promotion became very taxing. I'd do 8 or 10 interviews a day, and every interviewer would start with, well, tell me how the Byrds got together. And I'd have to answer the same questions over and over. I was getting so tired. I was getting hyperventilated. I was going, man, this is hard. I went, I'm not 20 anymore. I don't think I want to do this. So I walked away from Arista Records. They wanted me to go back in the studio, record some more demos, and I said, no thanks. I wanted to pursue my dream. It was a launch pad to what was next. My dream was to be like Pete Seeger, to be a troubadour, to take people's minds off their troubles for a couple of hours. I do a one-man play. I take about a 20-minute intermission in the middle. It's about a 2-hour show, and it's so much fun for the audience and for me. People ask me if I want to retire, and I always say no. I prefer not to retire. I love what I do. Why would I want to stop doing something I love doing? And I'm inspired by several people. Andre Segovia was 94 when he passed away, and he was booked at Carnegie Hall, and the only reason he didn't make the date was because he died. And the same thing, Pete Seeger was out chopping wood 10 days before he died at 94. Ravi Shankar did a concert 10 days before he died at 94. I was going, well, why would you want to retire if you love what you're doing? It's so much fun. So what's a Beatle Beat in your life? Putting two things together, making something new out of them. Is that something you feel like doing? I think you probably can.
It's human nature to search for belonging. We all need to feel that we fit in somewhere. You know, the best way of finding your tribe? Just follow your passions. But what if you're not sure what your passions are? Because sometimes finding them isn't easy. And sometimes they can reveal themselves in totally unexpected ways. But when you do find something worth investing your heart in, well, that's when your dreams really take flight.
I was in high school and I was a lost soul. I had no idea. I had no passion for birds. I liked animals. I didn't know where I was going.
But after a chance encounter with an injured pelican, Diana Flint had discovered her destiny. She's been at the Audubon Center for Birds of Prey ever since.
If you hold a baby eagle in your hands, it's perfection. It's absolute perfection. There's nothing else like it.
As a rehabilitation specialist, their lives are often in her hands.
Because of the shoulder injury, you can see one shoulder's a little higher than the other. Because of the shoulder fracture, she has no flight at all. a Merlin. It's actually a Merlin falcon, high energy. She fractured her right wing in a migration. That red-tailed had a fractured wing, did a great job of healing, and now I need to know, are you good enough? Are you ready for release? Hi. What? Let's go. Go for a walk. This is Francis. Francis was 2 days old when he came to us, and he was on death's door. He fit in the palm of my hand. He was so young and so sick.
By following her heart, Flint found a career that to her is so much more than just a job. What have you seen and learned that you'd like to pass along to others about life?
Find your passion. It makes all the difference in the world. You know that. You've got your passion. It's very obvious. Who's in there? Anybody you know? Hi. I see it in my volunteers. I see it in the staff here. And the moral of the story is that I have been able to see that passion through other people and share it and grow it through other lives. It's really cool.
One of those people is Claire Robinson, who walked into the Center for Birds of Prey 11 years ago. She felt such a connection that she's been there ever since as a volunteer. You know, people go, why would you do something for nothing?
Because you're not doing something for nothing. You're getting a reward of feeling good inside and helping and everything. You know, sometimes it's seeing the delight in a small child's face. It's seeing an adult realizing, oh my gosh, I never saw that before. So I want to share that with them. There. What do you think about her, huh? She's pretty.
Claire is quite the character. We love her to death. She loves to share what she knows. And that's priceless. Because the people who leave here after they talk to Claire, they just have so much more appreciation for her.
She's a barred owl because she's got the bars going this way on her feathers.
How has this experience changed you? In what ways?
I have a lot of happiness just because it's fun being here and I feel like I make a difference. And it's important to help out as a part of a team. And you don't ever have to be a loner. You always have somebody to help.
Just like Diana Flint, Robinson wasn't looking for just something to do, she was looking for a purpose. She found hers, and it's changed her life. So much so that she's convinced there's something out there for everyone.
Don't just sit around and mope about, oh, I'm watching TV all day and everything. Get out there, do something, change the world, help the environment. There's always a volunteer needed somewhere. And you can meet new people, make new friends, everything else too.
They took their own paths to get there at different stages of life, but Robinson and Flint each discovered they have a passion for birds of prey and found fulfillment in using that passion to find their purpose.
They've done a lot of stuff together, haven't we? I'm fortunate. I'm very fortunate. I've been able to do what I love to do. I'm fortunate because I found it. I found it when I was in high school, and I was able to continue doing it. Yeah, I'm very lucky.
Well, the takeaway from all this is don't be afraid to explore your interest. If something draws your attention, go with it. You never know where it can lead you or what kind of opportunities will open up because of it. Diana and Claire found theirs working with birds of prey. Where will you find your tribe? Get more inspiration at growingboulder.com/TV.
Every now and then we see something that seems, well, just silly. Not something profound that might change the world as we know it. Mike Leonard had one of those moments years ago.
Thank you, Mark. True visionaries do not care how they are envisioned by others. 25 years ago, I met a man who saw what I and others could not. And what he saw is something that all of us today cannot see living without.
I caught a glimpse of the future recently, and let me tell you, it was not a pretty sight.
Do I look dumbfounded?
Maybe.
Dumbfounded by Steve Mann's view of life.
Yeah, I sort of live in a dual adaptation space.
Dumbfounded by his view of me.
You look coordinate transformed.
And dumbfounded most of all by the computer technology that this doctoral candidate at MIT's Media Lab has rigged up so that anybody logging onto his internet homepage can see what he sees through a head-mounted camera that's somehow wired into some kind of transmitting gear that somehow shoots the data through the antenna on his head to his office computer, which somehow beams it onto that World Wide Web thing, which I can somehow tap into from my home in Winnetka, Illinois, just so I can see how dumb I looked in Boston a few weeks ago, when Steve was trying to explain to me how he manages to stay constantly logged onto his computer by scanning a tiny screen with one eye while using one hand to finger a keyboard that somehow triggers the camera, drives programs, sends messages, and checks email.
Many people would be self-conscious walking out like that.
Yeah, that's quite possible, but somebody's got to explore the future.
By field testing his own tetherless computing system that he hopes will one day benefit all of humanity, right down to the lowest organism on the techno food chain.
You know, in a few years, it won't be considered unusual to be reading your email while you're standing in line at the bank.
Steve already does that, and more.
You know, for example, when I'm shopping and choosing out fruits and vegetables, my wife can send me email to comment on, you know, which ones she wants or what have you.
Transmitted instantaneously to his home computer via a series of still pictures. Feeding live video to his computer is proving to be a bit more problematical, and while Steve continues to struggle with that, we continue to wrestle with the uneasy feeling that by clinging to our simple-minded way of looking at things, we might end up as the out-of-touch dorks of the future. Unfashionable, antennaless geeks, soon to be overshadowed by the style of Steve.
Although people regard it as strange, I think there's a certain coolness to it now. It's a different. When cell phones were first introduced, there was even a market for fake cellular antennas that you could put on your car so that you'd look cool, catalytic, and connected. And I could envision in the future a market for fake antennas to stick out of the hats.
I don't know, I just can't see myself walking around like that. But then maybe I'm just one of those guys who's a little too concerned about how he looks in public.
The concept of wearable computing did seem outlandish back in 1996, but thanks in big part to Dr. Steve Mann, I am now wearing a computer on my wrist in the form of an Apple Watch. Dr. Steve Mann is 58 years old and is a professor at the University of Toronto and Stanford University. He is still inventing.
All right, look, when it comes to life, we only get one chance, so how do you make it the best possible, the longest possible? Does where you live make a difference? Dan Buettner says, oh yeah, it does. Ever heard of him? Emmy winner, Guinness World Record holder, New York Times bestselling author, and he's checking in with us from Miami Beach with ways you can live longer and better.
Over the last 20 years, I've identified and traveled to 5 parts of the world where people live the longest. They're called blue zones, and these are places where people are reaching age 100 at the highest rates. They're avoiding the chronic diseases that are killing us, and they're living quality life. And one of the big secrets they're teaching us is the importance of living with a purpose. And when I say purpose in terms of blue zone, I don't mean just going and playing golf or pursuing some hobby. In blue zones, they use words like ikigai or plan de vida, and it's sort of a hybrid between not only living out your passion, but also a sense of responsibility. It's doing things with your life that not only fulfill your values and fulfill your passions, but also give back, either helping the younger generations, helping the community, or somehow making life better for people around you. So the big takeaways from blue zones: know your sense of purpose, eat mostly a plant-based diet with beans, and number 3, set up your surroundings so it's easy to be healthy and live to be 100.
You know, lately I've been thinking a lot about downsizing. It's been said that not wanting something is the same as having it without all of the hassles, and I think I'm starting to believe that. There are now about 300,000 items in the average American home, and that's just in the home. More than 25% of people whose homes have 2-car garages don't have room to park even one car inside. And that's still not enough room. Self-storage has been the fastest growing segment of the U.S. commercial real estate industry over the past 4 decades. At some point, we don't own stuff, it owns us. I'm not suggesting that you adopt a radical minimalist lifestyle unless that's your thing. I am suggesting that you consider taking a step or two in that direction. Let go of the chase for material possessions. As we grow older, our attachment to things weakens and our appreciation of experience deepens. Of course, we'll all need the basics to be happy, but beyond that, less stuff almost always leads to more happiness, and that's growing bolder. We'll see you next time.
More information about all of the stories you've seen here today is available at growingbolder.com/TV. And you can go bold when you connect with the Growing Bolder community on Facebook and Instagram. Get Growing Bolder magazine 4 quarterly issues delivered to your home for $29.97 a year. A companion book, Growing Bolder by Mark Middleton, is available as well for $25 plus shipping and handling. Growing Bolder membership includes access to a robust online platform featuring tools, tips, and resources in personal finance, functional fitness, caregiving, brain health, entrepreneurism, and more. Available for $30 for 1 year. Order online at growingbolder.com/TV.